What's good, everybody? I am finally back from like 6 months of just chilling. Anyways, I'm glad to be back with you guys. There's been so many requests for this haircut. This is the Boss Blendz super high taper right here, and as you can tell, that's Chris Bossio. I started out really quickly just putting in, my guidelines, shaving out the bottom, and now I'm shaving it with my Blendz shaver. Now that Blendz shaver usually comes in all silver, however it was affecting my eyes, so I painted it matte black. Now in order to do this Boss Blendz super high taper, we have to start out with a number 3. Bossio likes a number 3 on the sides, as far as the area that's not going to be faded. So we're just taking that number 3 all the way around. I'm trying to flick into that long hair up top, still kind of giving it a crop look. However, I'll come back in later and do more detail work with scissors. So we're going to do that right now. If you don't know, I've been using a lot of JRL clippers lately. I actually have 3 pair, and I just leave a 1.5 guard on one and a 0 guard on the other, and then the other one I don't have a guard at all, and I just kind of switch back and forth, making things a little quicker. So right now I'm actually doing what would be considered like a 1.5. And as you can tell, I kind of, went towards the back behind the ear a little bit, faded into that number 3, and I took that 1.5 right up close to that number 3, keeping it high because we like to do a super high taper on Mr. Bossio here. Some people don't like this cut because they feel like it's too high, but obviously we don't care what people think. We think it's amazing. We love this haircut. I think it's like, man, it's killer. So, and it looks great on Bossio. So anyways, we're not going to do anything with the top today, but I moved right into my half or my 0 guard open, which you could use a number 1 if you were using wall guards, and then I just kind of close that. But as you can see, I'm trying to keep in the dark area. I want to kind of keep kind of like a half moon shape, from the back of the ear going down towards the front. And I'll work on getting more of the bulk out a little bit later, doing some more fine tuning. But now I grabbed my other JRL clipper that has no guard on it, and I just used it open. And what I like to do is I use a lot of corners. As you've seen when I went down towards the bottom there, I'm like right now I might use the full blade just to kind of hit at that line. But anytime I'm trying to fade a little bit higher, I just barely use the corners to knock out little dark spots. If you haven't seen my little, I guess, teaching or whatever I did, I typed up a little something on Instagram and was talking about gradients and how I was in school, I used to draw a lot. And anyways, with that, one of the things you learn about is a gradient, and it's basically, that's what a fade is. So you want to knock out, you want it to have that gradient effect, that fade effect, and keeping all your darks and your lights and all those shades flowing like a gradient. So anyways, that's kind of what I'm doing. So whenever I'm looking at this gradient or this fade, if I see little dark spots up a little higher, I just take the corner of my blade and start tapping those things out. And it's already starting to get a little blurry. I know it's still needs some work, but we'll come back in. Now, as most of you guys know, once I get like a template laid out, I like to go ahead and put my edge in there, simply because I want to know what the whole thing looks like. And if I put the edge on there, then I know where my curve is going to end as far as that half moon shape I was talking about. I want it to kind of go down towards the bottom of that edge that I just did, and then I'll go in and just work on some detail. So one of my systems, man, is just like get the bulk out of the way, get the main blend kind of taken care of. It might not be perfect, and then come back in and start doing more detail work. So that's what I'm doing now. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a big towards the front of the edge. There was like a big dark spot. There still is one right now, but it's a little higher now that I blended some of that out. But I wanted to take it up a little higher because now that I put my edge in there, I can see where I want this thing to be. And I'll come back in a little bit later and do more detail work with scissors. right now, this is just my preference. It's something that bugs the mess out of me. But whenever you do like a blowout or you do one of these high tapers, anytime there's hair, like long hair right over the ear, that bugs me, man. So I always, and I mean, that's the kind of haircut I get, so it bugs me when I look in the mirror at myself. So, you know, because I don't like it, I just tend to get in there on other customers and I begin to just do a little trimmer over comb and just knock out those long hairs that are hanging there and then edge it up. Once again, I'll come in and do some more detail work on this side with some shear over comb. You know, if you've watched any of my stuff, that's how I detail a lot of the times. I use a lot of my corners on my blades and trimmers, but I also use a lot of shear over comb work as well. And then I got a new little trick I want to show you today that I think works really well. So once again, we'll come back to that side and hit some details. So right now though, we're going to go ahead and work on the back. Usually I go a little bit lower on the back and on Bossio's cut. Today I wanted to take the taper up just a little bit higher, just to kind of match the sides a little bit. You know, so right now I'm using my JRL 1000s. The other two pair I have are the 1040s, and there again, I just keep that same guard on there. It's a 1.5. It's got some other numbers, but it's equivalent to like a 1.5. So I just keep that on there, and I just kind of flick into that number 3, and I'll come back in and knock some more bulk off later with the scissor over comb. So now I'm going right back into my half guard, or the 0 guard rather, and on my JRL 1040s, and I'm making probably about 1.5 inches guideline there, and then I'll grab my other JRLs without the guard. And obviously you don't need that many pair. I'm just one of those guys. I'm an extremist, so you know, if I like something, I'll buy a bunch of them. So anyways, I have the open blade now. So I had a closed 0 a minute ago, and I'll open it up and flick at that line here in a minute. But now with the blade, I have an open blade, and I'm just doing some lever play. Now obviously on the 1040s and all the JRL stuff, they have the little clicky thing in the middle, the lever. For me, I like it. Some people don't like it. I know it was something that Bossio really didn't like much. I like it because it's different. I've been doing this for so long that I get bored. So for me, it was something new to learn, and I enjoy it. It's right there under my finger, and it doesn't really give me any problems. So I'm just doing some lever play. You could, if you're using regular clippers, obviously you could, you know, open and close the lever on the side just to work at things. And there again, you see me, I'm just using corners, man, and I'm opening and closing. You know, wherever I feel like I need to be a little bit longer, I'll open it up more. When I need to get a little tighter towards the bottom, I close it more. Just trying to knock those lines out. And if I see any dark spots, I come in with the corner and just flick at it with the corner, just lightly touching those little dark areas so that I don't create another line. But the cool thing about using the corners is you really can't create another line. I mean, you can, but not really, because you're lightly pressing in there with the corner and you're just taking out those little dark spots. And I've told you before, for me, whenever you look at hair, because it's hair, skin, hair, skin, hair, skin, if you just use the corner of the blade and you're just, you know, focusing on knocking out the little hair, it just there's some dark hair sometimes and just dark spots that you can just knock out with that. Hope that makes sense. Now I went ahead and I have my 0 guard once again open, and that could be equivalent to, you know, a number 1 guard, let's say. The system pretty much stays the same. Obviously the guards on these clippers are different. I hate that, you know, the tutorial is going down like this, because some of y'all might be like, well, what are you using now? Is it a 1 or whatever? But I'm just trying to give you the basic idea of the cut, and you'll have to work out the details with your own clipper. But you did see I used the Wall Senior to do the number 3. So you could have went, you know, right into a number 2 under that on the side and in the back, you know, to fade that in, and then, you know, a 1.5 or a 1, you know, and then a half underneath that just to kind of work with it. This video may not be best for people that haven't been cutting that long, that really don't know all the guards and systems. It's more, this one's just more to give people an idea of what this cut looks like and how to accomplish it. So anyhow, so now I'm closing my zero guard up again and just getting in there and knocking out any dark spots. As you can see, right over his right ear, right behind it rather, there's that big dark spot. He had some real bad bed head this day, and maybe even hat hair, so it's pressing down, different hairs going different directions, so it made it a little more challenging. But my main focus right now is just getting the bottom blurry, and so I'll come back in with shear over comb and knock out some of those dark areas that I see, so that way we can just make it make it as blurry as possible. So while I'm doing that, some people have been asking me, I'm sure you've seen the little edger I was using. Some people are like, dude, what is that? Because it's got a wall T-blade on there, the 5-star T-blade, which I love, and I love the wall detailer, but it's not cordless, and the cordless wall detailer sucks. So anyways, just kind of created, just took a cheap cordless clipper, or trimmer rather, and put a TY blade on there. I'll talk more about that in the future, maybe make a video of it, but the thing hits like a beast. So there again, as you can see, I've just been switching out the guards, going back in, trying to take out any lines. Bossio has some difficult hair, believe it or not. Just the texture is a little challenging, but every time he sits in my chair, just like any other client, man, I want to give him the best possible cut that I can. So it takes a little time, man, to just work out those details. So here, like I said, those dark spots that I seen, I just go in with some shear over comb and kind of I'll use the points of my shears at times, and I'll use the full blade at times, depending on how much bulk I want to take off. But I'm hitting right on that dark line just to soften it up, so that way you'll see when I comb it down, it'll start blending a little bit better. See there, the darker line that was there, I just kept tapping at it with the tips of my shears, and now that dark spot that was bothering the mess out of me, I start working on that. And I'm not going to show you the whole head, but basically I do the same thing all the way around. Once I do the clipper work, I'll come back in with shear over comb, and I just keep working in the little dark areas, trying to tap out the dark areas. And sometimes you get them all, sometimes you don't. You just do the best that you can. To make the video go a little bit quicker, I went ahead and pulled his hair back, clipped it up, and we like to do a nice clean edge on the front, and leave the top long. And when the top falls with the curls, it kind of lays on the part I'm edging up, and it just gives it a nice clean line up underneath the curls. Kind of gives it there again that crop top look we like. And anyways, so to keep those hairs down, I was spraying some hairspray on them before I lined them up, just to keep them down straighter. Now we're coming in with some of that no drip, and putting that on his lineup. If you don't know about that, go to tune45.com and check it out. Now here's a trick, man, that I do. A lot of people look at my pictures on Instagram and they're like, dude, it's so amazing. I stay away from the fade, as you can tell. I like the fade to be the fade. But when you look at someone's head, specifically when they have bed head like Bossio had, you see a lot of open spaces or where it shows skin. I like to go in and just spray all those, so when you look at it, you see a good contrast. I mean, it's all dark, and then then it's light where it goes in the fade. Here's another trick too. If you're going to kind of get close to that fade area, don't spray on the fade, but spray in the dark area. So if you were like painting a car, for example, you're going to have like a fade effect from the mist that goes out in different directions, if that even makes sense. But so I try to keep the main power of the spray on the dark spot, and I let that overspray just kind of fall on the blend there to give it more of a fade effect. So right now I'm just spraying some water on the top, getting his hair wet. We're going to apply some Tune 45 indestructible clay, which is my favorite hair product. There it is. And he likes to put it in wet. I like to put it in dry. For my hair specifically, I like that dry matte look. He likes to get those curls popping, and whenever you put water in there and you do what I'm doing right there. Just get it mixed in the hair real good, get the curls popping and curling up. Now that we have the cut pretty much done, I go in, and this is a little trick I was telling you about. Turn your shears on the side, and if you see little dark spots or in your fade area, go just tap, do what I'm doing right now, just kind of tap into them. Don't cut the skin obviously, but if you have the side of the blade laying on the skin and you're just going up into the hair, it texturizes and kind of does this little you know, feathering effect. And anyways, now I'm hitting them up with the razor. Just make sure those edges are popping, cleaning up the back of the neck. I think it came out pretty good, man. Y'all tell me what you think in the comments. Hey, thanks again for watching. I know it's been a while. I'll try to drop more videos. I'm going to be more consistent in 2019, Lord willing. But anyways, also there again, man, I just enjoyed doing what I'm doing and training people. There's a finished cut. Hope you love it. God bless you. Peace.